as we get ready for our only track final of the day, the 10,000 meters. Ishmael Kipkarui is the collegiate record holder from this year. Patrick Deaver, the meet record holder, and collegiate leader, obviously the collegiate record holder. There's Hampton Samuel of New Mexico. New Mexico Lobos team title chances of resting heavily on his and his teammates' shoulder in this final.
The defending champion in this event, also the NCAA cross-country runner-up from this fall. Last year en route to winning the 10,000 meter title, actually took a fall a few laps close to the finish, had to get back up and fight his way back to the lead pack to get the victory. So no stranger to battling through adversity in championship races.
There are the 24 qualifiers to this championship, 12 from the East prelim and 12 from the West prelim. The case in every one of the events, all the field events. And their list of competitors are on the screen. 25 laps of this track. And there are a million scenarios on what can happen in this race, but what we're focused on largely is New Mexico in a position to make a legitimate run at the team title by the end of Friday, or are they not? And it rests largely on the shoulders of their two 10,000 meter runners. If they go 1-2, they are in it.
That is exactly what you need from this race. Both expected to also come back and run the 5,000, as many of these athletes will over the course of these championships. So likely that this stays a bit tactical, at least for the athletes from New Mexico who have run so fast and have showcased such great foot speed. In talking to their coach, Darren Gosson, he does want them to be very patient and sit back through the first 4,000 meters or so and kind of just feel how this race plays out, get a good read on those around them. You know, it's often that you do see this be a little bit more tactical versus honest as they go through in 67.7. That's Ethan Coleman from Notre Dame doing lead duties to this point of the race.
He's followed by David Malarkey of Northern Arizona and by Timothy Chessenden of Arkansas.
And you talk about the team implications. That's another factor. Arkansas looking for big points. They did a great job in qualifying in the 800. This is an area also that could help bolster them going into the final men's day on Friday. As you're looking at, you know, this field, of course, like Ishmael Kipkarui, he is the freshman phenom. Trying to get a position on where he is. He's like kind of on the left-hand side of your screen. He's right next to Victor Kiprop of Alabama. Victor Kiprop was the runner-up in this meet last year to Hampton Samuel. So experienced in these racing situations. This is Victor Kiprop's fourth appearance in the 10,000 at the NCAA outdoor meet, finishing as high as second place last season.
So mentioning Victor Kiprop, Alabama, running with heavy hearts here at these NCAA championships, with the news coming across this morning of the untimely death of their former teammate. And with more on that, let's go downstairs to our host, John Anderson.
Yeah, Dwight, truly just sad and devastating news hitting this meet today. There you see him. Eliud Kipsang, University of Alabama, announced his death. He died Tuesday night. They announced it today. Just a great runner, yes, but really a delightful young man, 28 years old, held the collegiate record at 1,500 for a time, had some spotty performances, but was always an excellent guy, just a delightful person to be around, always smiled, whether he was an All-American or helping to win SEC championships. Just somebody that was really loved on this team. He kind of had his running buddies along with Victor Kiprop, who's in this race, Hillary Chariot, Vincent Kiprop, who ran at Alabama previously, kind of brought him along. And in the number of times I talked to him, 15, 20 times, he was most proud at the end. He said, I was the first guy in my family to earn a degree. And he was super, super proud of that, even more so than his collegiate record. There are 46 Kenyans at this meet. There's 1,000 athletes, 46 of them are Kenyans. And usually when you talk to them, they say, our family's here. And when they talk about it, it's not mom, dad, it's the other runners that are here from that East African country. Truly beloved fella. Sad to see him go. A lot of people shocked. Again, 28 years old. He died. He was in the hospital in Tacoma, Washington. And Dan Waters, who coached him here at Alabama, the best final word. He said the running community has lost a remarkable soul. That's true. That's the story, and that's the man I know. Dwight, Lara, Dan?
All right, John, thank you for that. It's always sad news to lose any athletes, especially those that are as young.
John,
as we look at Victor Kiprop, there are 3 athletes from Alabama in this 10,000 meter final.
As John said, truly not just such a special talent on the track, but such a special person. That's what so much of his teammates have said since receiving this news, was that he really motivated the rest of his teammates to be great, just inspired them with his work ethic, the amount of sacrifice that he makes. Certainly Kiprop, one of those who was inspired by Eliud Kipsang and the standard that he set. And then everyone just said it was that infectious smile, his personality, and his kindness that they will remember just as much as his influence on the track.
All right, well, it's established the pace pretty well. They're running just under 30-minute pace. And with coming up about 20 laps remaining, we will step aside. Much more of the coverage of this 10,000 meters when we return for more of our coverage of the 2025 NCAA Track and Field Championships. All right, back to the 10,000 meters with 18 laps remaining. It is still Ethan Coleman of Notre Dame, and running around 77, 78 second laps, so just under 31-minute pace. So let's step aside and get an update from Dan on the long jump. All right, back to the 10,000 meters with under 17 laps remaining. And we've had a lead change during the time we gave you that update on the long jump.
That's Dylan Schubert of Furman, who finished 3rd at the NCAA Cross Country Championships in the fall. He's coming off an incredible stretch this outdoor season. He not only won the conference championships at 5K, he also won the NCAA East Regional. And if you think about it, Dwight, if you remember, that race was run around midnight because they had so many weather delays at that East Regional meet. And in talking to those around the Furman program, that 3rd place finish in the fall, that was no surprise to them. They knew what he was capable of doing. I think he was somewhat of a shock maybe to some of the rest of the track and field and cross country audiences, but the coaching staff tells me he's got something special up his sleeve for this championship meet. Certainly, you saw this in the fall. Dylan Schubert knows how to dig deep when it hurts, and he can really close. He got a little anxious. He did not want to sit in this pack because of how pedestrian it was. He's now thrown in a 74 and a 71 second 400 meters to start to break this race open just a little bit and stretch things out with a little bit of movement behind him. So I think that was a really smart move on his part, because you were leaving a lot of guys in that race, and certainly Dylan Schubert is one who has the strength and the closing speed to be able to cover any moves that are made behind him.
Now let's update you on the positioning of the 2 New Mexico athletes who are right there in 5th and 6th. No, that's Hulane. That's Bernard Charuyat. But
Ishmael Kipkarui's there on the rail, but Hoptum Samuel is content. He's playing it very conservative in the back of the pack. As we're taking a look at him right now, have this fantastic shot as he is 2nd to last currently, but that's no alarm at this point because of the exceptional strength that he has. Now, that NCAA cross-country runner-up finish from the fall, he lost his spike halfway through that race, had to run the final 5,000 barefoot, finished with a bloody foot because he had been spiked so many times. And if you notice, he's wearing now tall socks. He didn't used to wear socks. Part of the reason he's doing that is because of the stitches that he received after being spiked. One of those was on his Achilles, so he still sometimes feels the friction rubbing on the scar tissue that is there on that left Achilles. So that's one adjustment that he has had to make. He actually had to take about 3 weeks off from running between the end of the cross-country season and the beginning of the indoor season just to recover from some of the injuries he sustained in that fall. Came so close to winning, but was edged out by Harvard's Graham Blanks. So you talk about the fall last year at this championship meet that he took in the 10,000 meters. Here he finishes in cross country with one bare foot, one spike. So certainly no stranger to battling through some of the adversity and the elements that you have to endure in some of these situations. Joked, as I know John Anderson did with his coach Darren Gosson, just if maybe we could just have one non-dramatic Haptum Samuel, race here in a championship meet. Well, but he seems to thrive in those situations.
And though he's near the end of the back of the pack, they're all within 3 seconds of the leader because of that slow early pace. And the pack is still pretty tightly bunched of 24. This far into the race, you're going to be coming up with 13 laps remaining. So almost halfway through this 10,000 meters.
Joey Noakes of BYU currently has made his way up to the front, now taking the lead duties from Dylan Schubert.
And as we come up to the halfway point, let's step aside. All right, we're past the halfway point, 15:21 at 5K. So even though they stepped it up a little bit, they're still not sub 30 in this 10,000 meters. So much more coverage of this 10,000 meter final when we return to Eugene, where the conditions are getting even better. All right, back to the 10,000 meters. We're under 10 laps remaining. That is Bernard Chiruyat, the freshman from Tulane, who has now picked up the leading duties, and things have gotten progressively quicker. They're now in the 67, 68 area for the last 4 or 5 laps, so the pace definitely moving up. And both New Mexico athletes have moved up to the front, 3rd and 4th.
And you could see there, that was Ernest Chariot of Texas Tech who put a little bit, see, got an arm out right there getting into the back of Haptum Samuel as they're getting very tightly bunched with Evans Karui moving around and trying to get in position between the 2 New Mexico athletes. So things quickened so rapidly that things just really, this entire race bunched up. Here you can tell the Lobos using some team tactics right here. That's Dylan Schubert of Furman in the all purple, and then Ernest Chariot moving along. And you can see the teammates make a little bit of contact. They're trying to communicate just a little bit. Now have gotten into a bit better of a rhythm, and in talking to Coach Darren Gosson, he wants those 2 athletes from New Mexico, Ishmael Kipkarui and Haptum Samuel, to work together over the latter part of this race. Ishmael Kipkarui has really been a freshman phenom for the program. Came to New Mexico in December because he saw the success that Pamela Kosgei was having. They'd been on teams together and saw her development, knew if he trained alongside Haptum Samuel, he would have the opportunity to establish himself as a world-class distance runner. However, Ishmael Kipkarui was not in great shape when he got on campus, had been somewhat injured, hadn't competed since the World Championships in Budapest, and has just come on incredibly strong this outdoor season. That's the result that you saw with that collegiate record. Now you're seeing those teammates trying to work together. Evans Karui is right there in the mix. Chariot is still finding some traffic there behind him, puts out that left hand to try to block Dylan Schubert from creeping up too much on his inside shoulder. This is shaping up to be a wild last mile and a half, Dwight.
And there's a lot of contact going on there. I'm expecting somebody to go down with the amount of contact that I'm seeing as they are jockeying for position and getting into a place of comfort. You can see a lot of the athletes moving out into lane 2 to have room to run. We're coming up with only 6 laps remaining. We'll step aside for the last time and bring you the conclusion of this exciting 10,000 meters. Can the Lobos go 1-2 and bolster their team hopes? Back in Eugene for more of our coverage of the NCAA Championships. Dwight Stones along with Laura Overton. Less than 4 laps remaining in this 10,000 meter final. David Malarkey of Northern Arizona in on the rail, and now here comes the defending champion. Abton Samuel spent most of the race way back in the back of the pack, but now it's time to get serious. He and his teammate Ishmael Kipkurui need to go 1-2 in this race to keep New Mexico's team title chances alive. 3 laps remaining now, but there are lots of other runners in this race. The early slow pace has kept most of this 24-man field in contention.
And this has been a feisty race to this point. You can see just how physical it has been. When you're talking about team tactics too, you mentioned David Malarkey. He has Drew Bosley, the NAU tandem right there up front in the top 5 athletes to this point. Abton Samuel has steadily moved up to the front of this pack, been incredibly patient in navigating his way up to the front. Has his teammate right there, currently sitting in about 5th position. Easy to identify, that turquoise of New Mexico. Evans Karui from Washington State, you see him with the glasses on, currently in 3rd. He is one that a lot of people said could be the wild card. He's kind of looking to disrupt some of that New Mexico dominance, but he has shown that he can be a bit erratic in racing situations as Dismas Lokira of Alabama surges to the front with 2 laps to go. Who's gonna cover the move? This is the point where you cannot afford to lack reaction. You can't afford to wait for that next opportunity.
Ernest Churriat of Texas Tech is also right there in 2nd place. So plenty of racing left to go with just over a lap and a half remaining. Kira, Churriat, Karui, Samuel, Kipkurui, and now here Dylan Schubert back into the mix. Both NAU guys in the mix. So it's going to be a wild last 600 meters.
This is where Abton Samuel needs to respond. As his teammate makes a move, he's got to go with him. You've got to immediately react. And there he does. Bounces out to the outside as they come up to the straightaway.
Less than 500 meters to go, coming up to the bell. Evans Karui with the sunglasses on. In the lead with a lap to go. Now Churriat of Texas Tech. Kipkurui, Schubert, Samuel. Those are the top 5, and then push. And Ernest Churriat of Texas Tech, the sophomore, is in full flight down the backstretch, being chased by Ishmael Kipkurui, the freshman from New Mexico. Abton Samuel, the defending champion, in 3rd. And Kipkurui is in overdrive, and here comes Samuel. It's going to be 1-2 Lobos with 125 meters to go.
Look at that surge and the distance that Kipkurui has established on the field, including his teammate, who is closing hard.
Kipkurui, the collegiate record holder and the defending champion, his teammate, Abton Samuel, keep New Mexico in the hunt for the team title by going 1-2. 18 points for the Lobos with a 53.4 last 400 meters for the freshman collegiate record holder.
What a ferocious finish. Everyone was in this race with 3 laps to go. The confidence of the freshman, Ishmael Kipkurui, and then how he's just decisively, when he makes that move and surges, he left no one in reach. Made that move authoritatively, decisively. That's exactly what you needed in order to break out of that pack. Cruises to the victory, brings Abton Samuel along. 18 points for New Mexico. Abton Samuel, 1 year ago, was the only athlete they brought to the NCAA championships. Now they have 11, and it's not even so much about the numbers they brought, it's the quantity in the points and the scoring opportunities that they have.
4:10 for the last 1,600 meters, 1:57 for the last half mile. The freshman collegiate record holder wins the 10,000 and brings his defending champion teammate along with him.